At first I thought AI was going to take my job, and then I thought AI tools were just nice to have. But after the past year and a half of working with AI, I've realized it hasn't just made me a faster programmer, it's completely changed the way that I work as a developer. And in today's video, I want to walk you through the exact AI tool stack that has completely transformed my workflow and how you can use these tools to work smarter, work faster, and maybe, if you're lucky, actually look like you know what you're doing for once. So let's get into the AI tool stack. I like to think of my AI tools as a pyramid, 3 levels sort of working together. At the bottom, at the foundational level, this handles my low-level decisions. The mid-level helps with deeper or higher-level design-oriented thinking. And at the top level, sort of gives me a full aerial view of the whole project. So let's start with the base of this pyramid. This is just my regular code editor plus Copilot. And I know it's probably not much of a surprise that I use Copilot at this point, but the real surprise might lie in the fact that I actually prefer IntelliJ over VS Code. And this is something people love to give me heat about, but personally I've just found IntelliJ gives me much better tools, more helpful commands, and just overall more intuitive shortcuts, especially when you start factoring in the built-in Git UI tools and the database tools. It just feels like more of a complete out-of-the-box solution to me. Also, huge shout out to JetBrains because they keep giving me free licenses to the IDE. Now at the foundational level, Copilot basically acts as my coding assistant, my co-pilot, right? It does a great job of predicting the next few lines of code, helping me spin up simple functions, and then just saves me a lot of time from having to write simple boilerplate, the standard Copilot stuff. But what I've noticed and where Copilot really shines is in writing unit tests. When I'm writing tests now, I barely have to think through every single edge case manually. It just spins up the majority of my test cases, the test cases that I would have written originally. It does a great job at generating mocks, and it does a really good job of laying out clean test scaffolding. And this makes sense, right? Because AI like Copilot does a really good job working on isolated problems. And what I mean by that is a unit test doesn't require deep code-based knowledge. You're just testing a single class or a single function and maybe a couple of outputs. It doesn't have to fully understand all the different service layers or the database layer. It just mocks what it needs to, and it runs with that for unit tests. Now, I actually prefer using Copilot over some of the fully AI-driven code editors out there. And don't get me wrong, I still use AI code editors, which we'll get into here in a minute. But to be honest, Copilot feels way less invasive. It sort of knows when to chill and doesn't take over the entire flow of what you're doing when you're writing code. With that being said, sometimes it can be a little too lax. Now, before we dive into that, I first want to bring up something that I'm very excited about. And for the first time ever, I'm opening up a mentorship program. This is something that I've been working really hard on building up over the last couple of months. And I'm teaming up with my good friends, Kevin, an ex-Google software engineer, and Tech with Tim, an ex-Microsoft engineer and huge coding YouTuber. Now, I've never done anything like this before, and I'm really excited to work closely with some of you guys. It's going to be super exclusive. We're only taking 20 people as of right now to work closely with. So if you're looking for more of a direct mentorship, make sure you click that link in the description to join the waitlist and get early access. Plus, not to mention, when you sign up for the waitlist, you'll get a free resume template. Matter of fact, it's the exact template that I used to find my latest job. Okay, now moving up in the pyramid, let's talk about the mid-level, and this is where ChatGPT comes in. For me, ChatGPT has basically become my go-to tool for whenever I'm learning something new, whether that's a brand new library, a new design pattern, or just a different way of structuring things that I've already worked on. Instead of having to read through pages of official documentation, I can just ask ChatGPT for a high-level breakdown of what the library I'm trying to integrate with does, how it fits into my project, and even some, quick examples of how to actually use this third-party library. It feels like a 100x better Stack Overflow if you remember that legacy website. Now, another way that I use ChatGPT all the time is for understanding old or complicated code. Sometimes I'll be working in a class or a giant function, and I just need someone or something rather to help walk me through it. And instead of bugging a teammate or spending an hour manually tracing things, I'll literally just paste the code into ChatGPT and ask, can you explain what this function is actually doing? Or what's the main purpose of this class? I'll ask it stuff like, would it make sense to split this class into 2 classes? Is this function violating single responsibility? How can I name this function better? Or what parts of this code should probably have comments or documentation? And for me, this is where ChatGPT really shines. I've found it to be amazing for those longer, high-level back and forth conversations when I'm actually thinking through architecture, refactoring, or I'm just trying to make my old messy code more readable. I found it to be my favorite LLM for when working through single files or single classes, anything where you can isolate the logic enough for the LLM to reason through it without needing the full project context. And that leads me into the tip of the pyramid. And this is where AI code editors finally come into play. So I use Cursor. Now Cursor is technically a fully blown AI code editor, and don't get me wrong, it has everything baked into it. It has autocomplete, it has code generation, it has code explanations, basically all the stuff that I've already talked about when it comes to Copilot and ChatGPT. But like I've already mentioned, I don't use Cursor as my daily driver code editor. And that's for a few reasons. One, like I've already said, I'm very deep into the IntelliJ ecosystem, for better or for worse. But most importantly, when I initially tried Cursor, it just felt a little too heavy-handed for me. Like the autocomplete was a little more aggressive than I wanted it to be. And I found that it just pushed suggestions a little more often than I liked. And overall, it just felt a bit overwhelming to navigate and manage in my day-to-day. But the part where Cursor absolutely shines, and the reason why I still keep it around in my tool stack, is for its code-based level of understanding. When I'm working in a production-grade code base, Cursor, especially with its Claude integration, has saved me a ridiculous amount of time. Instead of having to manually trace relationships between files and services for hours, I can just ask it questions about how different pieces connect, and it gives me a surprisingly good overview. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, and it oftentimes misses important details or makes assumptions that don't quite add up. But even when it's off by, 20 or 30%, it still gets me way closer to the answer that I was looking for, rather than me having to manually dig through the code base by hand. Also, Cursor has some really cool agentic features like automatically generating new files or helping split up larger files into smaller ones. And this can be a huge time saver, especially when you're scaffolding out new classes or setting up boilerplate heavy sections of a project. But you do have to be careful because sometimes it will get a little too ambitious and it will make changes that you didn't really intend, and it will leave you needing to roll things back. So if you're going to use these agentic features, you definitely want to get in the habit of committing your code often, which is something that you should be doing in general anyways, but just in case you need to undo something unexpected. I've had times where it completely alters some code that I'm working on. I ask Cursor to roll it back. The rollback doesn't happen properly, and I essentially lose all of my uncommitted progress. Now, another thing that I really like about Cursor is that because it's tied directly to whatever repo or folder you have open, it's much more project aware compared to a generic chat window like the ChatGPT interface. Plus, it does a great job of remembering context across multiple chats for a long period of time, which is incredibly useful when you're working on something over the course of multiple days. Now, between Cursor and ChatGPT, I honestly bounce back and forth depending on what I need. And that is because Cursor feels better when I'm working through big multi-file changes and I need that broader understanding of how everything ties together. But sometimes ChatGPT is still faster and a little bit sharper for smaller and isolated tasks. And overall, I think the GPT LLM does a better job at reasoning compared to Claude, which is what's integrated directly into Cursor. But at the end of the day, they both have their strengths, and figuring out which one fits the problem that you're trying to solve is a huge part about working with AI. So that's my tool stack. Now, real quick, there is one huge mistake I see a lot of developers making when using AI. It's something you really need to watch out for. And the truth is, AI needs a lot of grooming. You absolutely cannot be a vibe coder, especially in a production environment. And that's because when you're working inside of big real-world code bases with a lot of moving parts, it's never as simple as just, trust AI and ship. And that's why developers aren't going to be replaced by programmers anytime soon. There have been so many times where I ask an AI to solve a problem and it'll confidently recommend an approach. I question it, it completely flip-flops and says, actually, don't do that. Then I tweak the prompt again, and it swings back to the first suggestion like nothing ever happened. That's why no matter how good these tools get, it is so important that you stay sharp, you question every suggestion an LLM makes, you validate every idea, and you always remember that at the end of the day, you are still the engineer. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in my mentorship program, make sure you check out the link in the description to join the waitlist. But other than that, I will see you all in the next one.